Call me Extradamus if you want to, but I told y'all, this nigga was laughing through her corny jokes, dealing with her insufferable attitude, just sitting there. You could tell when a nigga got some disdain for the bitch. He ain't never really want to be with her, period. You know what I'm saying? He just left Golden State. He needed to switch up the, he needed to switch up the conversation, switch up the meta. He get with this chick. He probably noticing everything that Tory noticed that goddamn night. She loud, she drunk all the time, boisterous, and the only thing she was trying to bring to the table is a couple fucking recipes from out of a goddamn TikTok cookbook, okay? And even then, you could tell this nigga was just like, he couldn't even swallow under the meal. I'm keeping a being with you. You get what I'm saying? And he supported her habit while he was out fucking other chicks.
And I've never really had a chance to express that, but
Tory Lanez has been behind bars, keeping his head down and serving his time. But the second Klay Thompson moves on from Megan Thee Stallion, it's like everything shifted. Out of nowhere, it feels like Tory was just sitting in his cell waiting for this exact window of opportunity. I'm not even kidding. This is easily one of the wildest pieces of celebrity drama I've witnessed in a long time, and we're breaking down every bit of it today. Before we get into Tory's actual response, we need to look at everything that led us to this point. If you don't have the full context, you won't truly understand why this situation hits the way it does. So, stay right here, lock in, and don't go anywhere. We're about to dive into some things you definitely aren't expecting. Let's get to it. Alright, let's start from the beginning. I know the title is what caught your attention, and I'm going to get straight to the point. Word is that Tory Lanez, who is currently 3 years into a 10-year sentence for that 2020 shooting involving Megan Thee Stallion, has reportedly sent a message out to the public. Whether this message came through his legal team, a close friend, or was simply leaked, it hit the internet and the blogs picked it up instantly. Now, I'm not going to sit here and claim I know every single syllable verbatim, because I'm not in the business of spreading fake news. But what's being reported, and you guys can go verify this yourselves, is that Tory's camp allegedly let it slip that he's aware of what went down with Klay and Megan. The vibe coming from his inner circle was essentially a told you so. Think about that for a second. The man is in prison and he's still on his petty behavior? That's honestly wild. Whether you want to call that confidence or pure delusion is up for debate, but it's crazy to be behind bars and feel like you've somehow won. But here is the thing. When you look at the big picture and see everything Megan went through with Klay, you start to see why the internet is reacting so strongly. There are layers to this story, so let me break it all down for you from the very start. So, check this out. By the summer of 2025, Megan Thee Stallion is at the top of her game. 3 Grammys, multiple Billboard #1s, and easily one of the most famous women in music. Around that time, she quietly starts dating Klay Thompson, the 4-time NBA champ who had just signed with the Dallas Mavericks. Initially, nobody was even sure they were a thing. The first real hint fans got was actually a bikini photo. Megan posted a carousel on Instagram with some standard beach vibes, but fans started zooming in like detectives on a cold case. People in the comments were immediately calling it out, asking, "Wait, is that Klay in the background?" It wasn't a formal announcement or a press release. It was just fans playing Where's Waldo in Megan's vacation photos. But by July 2025, they made it official. Megan hosted her Pete and Thomas Foundation Gala in New York City, a charity event dedicated to her late mother. So it was a deeply personal night, and she walked the red carpet with Klay right by her side. That was their official debut as a couple, and the internet completely lost it. Think about the scale of this pairing. You have one of the most outspoken and influential rappers in the industry linking up with a legendary NBA player starting a fresh chapter with a new team. People immediately started comparing them to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, that powerhouse celebrity-athlete dynamic that just dominates pop culture. For a while, they really were that it couple. And I want to highlight this part because when things were good, they looked like something straight out of a movie. Understanding how sweet it was makes what happened later hit even harder. Megan started posting videos of them golfing together, even letting Klay pick out her outfits. He once chose a lavender skirt and white top for her, which honestly looked great. She seemed genuinely happy, even joking in her captions that being in love was actually helping her golf game. Klay was right there beside her, absolutely beaming. Honestly, are we even surprised? The man was clearly smitten, but it gets even more wholesome. They started going fishing together. If you had told me back in 2019 that the woman behind WAP would be posting fishing content with an NBA star, I wouldn't have believed you. Yet, there she was, genuinely enjoying his company and going on these adventures, looking like a completely different version of herself. Then came Thanksgiving. And this is the part that actually had me laughing. Megan was in the kitchen cooking for Klay's entire family, and she posted a video making spaghetti and catfish. Apparently, Klay had never even had those two together until she made it for him. But after that first time, he was requesting it every single week. It got to the point where one of Klay's teammates even went on ESPN and mentioned how Megan went out of her way to make sure everyone was fed. He said they were sending guests home with bags of leftovers and that it was one of the best Thanksgivings they'd ever had. All thanks to her. It's actually wild when you think about it. The entire internet sees Megan as this untouchable hot girl who does whatever she wants, yet there she was, cooking for her man's family on Thanksgiving like she was auditioning for the role of his wife. That isn't hot girl anthem energy. That's the energy of a woman genuinely falling in love. And for a while, Klay matched that vibe perfectly. He even named his boat after her, the SS Stallion. Just imagine that. He was pulling up to the dock every single day, looking at a boat with his girlfriend's name on it. You don't do something like that casually. That's a statement. That's a man telling the world he's proud to be with her. Then, February 2026 rolls around for Megan's 31st birthday, and Klay reportedly steps things up with a tropical vacation and a Bentley. A whole Bentley, not just a card or flowers, but a luxury vehicle on top of an international trip. Honestly, that isn't how a man acts when he's planning on leaving. At least, it's not supposed to be. But this is exactly where we have to hit the brakes for a second. To really understand why this situation is so complicated, and why Tory Lanez's alleged reaction is causing such a stir, you have to look at who Megan Thee Stallion is beyond the headlines. I'm talking about her actual history, not just the hot girl persona. Let's take it back. Megan Jovan Ruth Pete grew up in Houston, Texas. Her mother, Holly Thomas, was a rapper herself, so Megan was essentially raised in the music industry. But her upbringing was far from easy. She lost her grandmother, and then in 2019 she lost her mother to brain cancer. She has dealt with profound loss and real pain, and she channeled all of that into becoming one of the most dominant voices in hip-hop. Here's where it gets interesting. While Megan was navigating this personal grief and building her career, she was also crafting the hot girl brand. At the core of that brand is a very specific image. Independent, unbothered, and definitely not tied down. It's the image of a woman who does what she wants, when she wants, entirely for herself. Then WAP drops. And if you were there, you know. That song completely broke the internet in 2020. It hit #1, sparked actual congressional debates, and had people across the country absolutely shocked. One of the most famous lines involves Cardi B and Megan literally saying they don't cook or clean. It was a declaration that they weren't wifey material, but rather moving with a different kind of energy. That track was essentially a manifesto of independence from traditional relationship roles. So, here is the tension, and this is what I want you all to really consider. You have a woman whose public persona, the very one she used to build her entire career, claims she doesn't cook or clean and isn't that girl. Yet behind closed doors, she's in the kitchen preparing spaghetti and catfish for a man's entire family. She's out fishing and letting him choose her golf outfits. She is stepping into every single role she claimed in her music she would never play. And that isn't a diss. In a way, it's actually beautiful. Behind the hot girl persona, it's clear that Megan Thee Stallion is a woman who truly values love and connection. She wanted a partner she could be vulnerable and domestic with. And she genuinely believed Klay was that person. That's exactly why what followed was so devastating. But to understand the fallout with Klay, we have to look back at her past, which has been incredibly heavy. The most difficult chapter involves Tory Lanez. And for that, we need to go back to 2020. Megan and Tory were part of the same social circle and attended a party together in Los Angeles that July. What happened that night changed their lives forever. Megan was shot in the foot. Eventually, in December 2022, Tory Lanez was convicted of the shooting and received a 10-year prison sentence in August 2023. Think about that for a second. This is a woman who was already grieving the loss of her mother, only to be forced through a shooting and a massive legal battle. On top of that, she had to watch as a huge portion of the internet doubted her story, even though she was the victim in the situation. The level of trauma Megan had to endure during that time is almost impossible to wrap your head around. What's even wilder is Tory's alleged reaction to the situation with Klay. Even from prison, he's reportedly letting his team comment on Megan's love life, as if their history is some kind of competition, or her pain is just a way to keep score. Honestly, that move is wild, no cap. While Tory is serving his time, Megan has spent the years since that trial focusing on her own healing and rebuilding her life. She even opened up about this in a People magazine interview right as things with Klay were going public. She mentioned that she wasn't even looking for a relationship. She had just been doing the inner work to get into a better headspace. The love she eventually found with Klay happened because she finally felt ready to open up again. When you look at the full weight of what she survived, the shooting, the trial, the public doubt, and the sheer trauma, and then you see her come out the other side willing to be vulnerable and even cook Thanksgiving dinner for a man's family, you realize why the internet is reacting the way it is right now. This woman literally went through the fire and came out ready to love again. Yet things still didn't work out. This is where it gets incredibly real. So stay locked in, because this part of the story changes everything. Earlier in 2026, Megan was in Milan hanging out with some friends, a couple of engaged Olympic athletes. She posted a video where she actually manifested her own engagement out loud for the whole world to hear. This is massive because it shows she wasn't just casually dating. She was looking at her engaged friends and thinking, I want that with Klay. She wasn't hiding her feelings at all. She was putting it out into the universe and everyone was rooting for her. Just look at the arc of this story. We're talking about a woman who famously said she wasn't wifey material, falling for an NBA star, cooking for his family, traveling with him, and posting him constantly. To go from that to publicly saying she wants to get engaged, that is a genuine love story. It's the kind of narrative that actually makes people believe in relationships again. And on the surface, Klay seemed to be playing his part perfectly. He was naming boats after her, buying her Bentleys, and introducing her to his entire family. His own teammates were even raving about her cooking. He presented himself as a man who was fully committed, and Megan believed him. But this is where things get absolutely insane. Alright, this is the moment I told you was coming. The part that drove Megan to her Instagram stories on April 25th, 2026, and completely broke the internet. Despite the boats, the cars, the family dinners, and her manifesting an engagement, Megan Thee Stallion found out that Klay Thompson was being unfaithful. She didn't just hint at it or post something vague. She put it out there in plain English. She wrote on her story, "Cheating had me around your whole family playing house. Full stop." That line alone is absolutely devastating. Playing house implies that she truly believed this was the real deal. She was fully invested, spending time in his home, cooking for him, and building bonds with his inner circle, all while he was acting like none of that held any weight. But it actually gets worse. The cheating is one thing, but his response when she confronted him is what really pushed her over the edge. Pay close attention here, because this is the crucial part. According to what Megan put on blast, Klay essentially told her he wasn't sure he could commit to just one woman. He claimed he was struggling with the concept of monogamy and didn't know if he could be exclusively loyal to her. Think about that. This was after the Bentley, after naming a boat after her, after having her at Thanksgiving with his family, and after she was publicly manifesting an engagement in Milan. Honestly, I had to sit with that for a minute when I first saw it. This man had every opportunity to be upfront from the very beginning. If you know you aren't built for a monogamous relationship, you say that before you ever bring a woman around your entire family. You say that before you name a boat after her. You say that before she starts talking about wanting to be your wife publicly. But he didn't. He let her go all in. He let her be vulnerable and rebuild herself after everything she had already survived. After Tory, after the loss of her mother, and after years of trauma. Then, when the moment of truth finally came, he claimed he wasn't sure he could be monogamous. Honestly, that is wild. No cap. It's one of the coldest things I've heard in a celebrity breakup story in a long time. I'm not saying Klay is some cartoon villain. I'm not here just to clown the man. But the timing is what makes it so crazy. It's about how much she invested and what it took for Megan to reach a place where she was ready to love again. She summed it up perfectly herself on her Instagram story. She wrote, "Holding you down through all your horrible mood swings and treatment towards me during your basketball season. Now you don't know if you can be monogamous? And gang." She put 4 question marks at the end of that sentence. That tells you everything you need to know. That level of disbelief only comes from someone who genuinely never saw it coming. She eventually signed off by saying, "I need a real break after this one. Bye y'all." Now here is the part of the story that actually got to me. After Megan posted all of that, after she confirmed the breakup and the internet went into a frenzy, she still had to go to work that very same night. She's currently starring in the Broadway musical Moulin Rouge, playing the role of Zidler. She's actually the first female identifying performer to take on that role in an 8-week run. On the night she ended things with Klay on Instagram, she had a show. She had to put on her costume and perform for a packed theater, and she did it. She went out there and gave her performance. But fans in the audience that night caught something on video during the curtain call that went viral just as fast as her Instagram stories. While standing on stage in costume and receiving a standing ovation, Megan turned away from the crowd and wiped tears from her eyes. Do you see this? This woman just had her heart broken, shared it with the entire world, and then stood on a Broadway stage and delivered a performance strong enough to earn a standing ovation. In that one moment during the curtain call, when the acting was over and her guard finally came down, you could see the pain break through. That hits differently, gang. I'm not going to lie. That really hits differently. Now, we've come back full circle. This is why I told you at the start that you needed the full story for Tory's response to really land. Think about the told you so energy Tory Lanez is reportedly putting out through his team. On one level, it's just incredibly petty. The man is in prison and is still finding ways to insert himself into Megan's life from behind bars. That is honestly unhinged behavior, no cap. But on another level, and I want to be very clear, I'm not saying Tory is right here. There's more to it. Do you see this? This woman just had her heart broken, shared it with the entire world, and then stood on a Broadway stage and delivered a performance strong enough to earn a standing ovation. In that one moment during the curtain call, when the acting was over and her guard finally came down, you could see the pain break through. That hits differently, gang. I'm not going to lie. That really hits differently. This is why I told you at the start that you needed the full story for Tory's response to really land. Think about the told you so energy Tory Lanez is reportedly putting out through his team. On one level, it's just incredibly petty. The man is in prison and is still finding ways to insert himself into Megan's life from behind bars. That is honestly unhinged behavior, no cap. But on another level, and I want to be very clear, I'm not saying Tory is right here. There's more to it. there is something almost dark and poetic about the fact that Megan went from one painful relationship right into another. She moved from being a victim of violence at the hands of someone she trusted, to rebuilding herself, falling in love in the public eye, and eventually being cheated on, and left. Meanwhile, the man who started this whole cycle of chaos is reportedly sitting in a cell, sending petty told-you-so energy through his associates. The question everyone on the internet is asking right now, and I want you guys to really think about this, is why does this keep happening to her? This is a woman who seemingly has it all. The talent, the money, the fame, and the looks. She's a 3-time Grammy winner who just made her Broadway debut. By every measurable standard, she is one of the most successful women in the music industry today. And yet, when it comes to love, she constantly finds herself on the losing end. There is something almost dark and poetic about the fact that Megan went from one painful relationship right into another. She moved from being a victim of violence at the hands of someone she trusted to rebuilding herself, falling in love in the public eye, and eventually being cheated on and left. Meanwhile, the man who started this whole cycle of chaos is reportedly sitting in a cell, sending petty energy through his associates. The question everyone on the internet is asking right now, and I want you guys to really think about this, is why does this keep happening to her? This is a woman who seemingly has it all: the talent, the money, the fame, and the looks. She's a 3-time Grammy winner who just made her Broadway debut. By every measurable standard, she is one of the most successful women in the music industry today. And yet, when it comes to love, she constantly finds herself on the losing end. And maybe, and I say this with nothing but love, the hot girl brand that made her famous is also the hardest thing to reconcile with who she is in private. You can't tell the world you don't cook, you don't clean, and you aren't wifey material, then spend every week in someone's kitchen making catfish and spaghetti without creating some internal tension. There's a clear gap between the public persona and the private woman. Klay Thompson clearly saw that gap, and he took advantage of it. He let her be that private version of herself. The one who cooks, goes fishing, and shows up for his family on Thanksgiving. But when she wanted the commitment that should have naturally followed all of that, he couldn't give it to her. That is cold. It is genuinely cold, and that's exactly why the internet exploded. Gang, we've covered a lot in this video, but I want to wrap this up by zooming out one more time. I think there's actually something really important to take away from all of this. Over the last few years, Megan Thee Stallion has been showing the world a completely different side of herself. She's moved past just being the hot girl or the WAP persona who doesn't cook or clean. We've seen the real Megan, the woman who dealt with the loss of her mother, survived a shooting, and finished college while topping the charts. She's the woman who showed up in someone's kitchen on Thanksgiving and cooked enough for everyone to go home with bags of leftovers. She allowed herself to be truly vulnerable in the public eye with Klay Thompson, and it still didn't work out. Now, in a move that feels like the universe has a twisted sense of humor, the man tied to the most traumatic experience of her life is reportedly reacting from behind bars. He's allegedly watching this unfold and finding satisfaction in the fact that her new love story fell apart. But what if the most heartbreaking part of this story isn't even the cheating? It's the fact that Megan did everything right this time around. She let her guard down. She fell in love, and she literally cooked for this man every single week. She was all in, even manifesting that engagement ring. She showed up for his family and supported him through an entire NBA season, dealing with his mood swings and everything that comes with that lifestyle. But it still wasn't enough. Honestly, that's a heavy reality to sit with. Anyone who has ever poured their heart into someone only to have it fall apart knows exactly what that feels like. Effort doesn't always guarantee the outcome. But if there's one thing to know about Megan, it's this: she has survived much worse. She's come back from a shooting, the loss of her mother, and one of the most public and exhausting legal battles in recent history. Through all of that, she still made hits, debuted on Broadway, and built something real for herself. She'll come back from this too, and when she eventually drops a song about it, that track is going to be lethal. So, that's the full story. Tory breaking his silence from a cell, the cold reality of the exit, and Megan's journey from hot girl anthems to fishing trips, family dinners, and finally a Broadway stage with tears in her eyes. It's all connected, and it is absolutely wild. Yo, if you made it to the end of this video, I truly appreciate you. For real, no cap. You're the reason this channel keeps moving, and I see every single one of you. If this video hit different, smash that like button. It only takes 2 seconds, but it means everything to the channel. And if you're new here wondering why the comment section is going crazy, it's because we don't hold back. We break everything down and always keep it 100. Get in the comments and let me know. Do you think Megan is going to drop a diss track? Is Kelsey going to respond? And honestly, do you think Tory commenting on her love life from prison is peak delusion or just petty entertainment? I need to hear your thoughts. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We're growing every single day, and you don't want to miss the next one. Because trust me, gang, you are not ready for what's coming next. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.